Hi everyone, Taylor here from Klankers. Welcome back to our channel. Today's the day that we find out clue number 1 for our Christmas all year crochet along. Are you ready? Let's get to it. Alright, this is clue number 1. It's kind of big to put on to the camera or whatever, but I wanted to give you the measurements. This block is going to measure about 20 inches, which is 51 centimeters. We're going to need main color and color A for this clue. You'll also need your crochet hook and scissors. Now I'm using the size I crochet hook, which is a 5.5 millimeter. You will need to use the crochet hook to obtain gauge. You can find the gauge on our website, where the written instructions for clue number 1 is. The written instructions for this pattern will always be free on our website, but if you would like a graph to go with your written instructions, you can find all that in our Etsy or Ravelry shop, up to you. If you prefer just the video tutorial, then that's great. I'll walk you through everything. Let's go ahead and get started on row number 1. Alright. Clue number 1 starts us off with our main color. Mine is white. I'm going to start with a slip knot on our hook. Now, the method that we're going to be using throughout this whole pattern is corner to corner. If you're not familiar with corner to corner, I'll walk you through step by step. I'm pretty sure we've got some other videos on our channel that will be slower, so that if you have trouble following this, you can go over there and look. It's your choice. Let's go ahead and do row number 1. Chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. Let's count down 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to put a double crochet in that stitch right there. And you're going to put a double crochet in the last 2 chains. So 1, 2. Now you should have 3 double crochets plus this chain 3 right here. That's row number 1. Let's go on to row 2. Row 2 has us start with a chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're going to do this chain 6 like you did this. We're going to count down 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a double crochet in that 4th one. Double crochet in the last 2 chains. Now if you're not familiar with the corner to corner method, you create blocks. This is one block, this is one block, and each row you make, you have one extra block. Row 1 you'll have 1 block, row 2 you'll have 2, row 3 you'll have 3, and so on. And we have to connect these blocks together. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take this one that we made from row 1 and pull it up like that. You're going to insert your hook in that space right there where your chain 3 is, and you're going to slip stitch, which will connect the 2 together. Now this is row 2, so we have to make another block to have 2 blocks. So what we're going to do is chain 3, which counts as this chain right here, and then we're going to put 3 double crochets like we did here into this chain space. So 1, 2, 3. Alright, row 2 is complete. Let's go on to row 3. Chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Every row will consist of 6 chains to start out with, as long as we're increasing. Once we get to the decreasing part, I'll show you what we do. So count down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a double crochet in that 4th one, and a double crochet in the next 2. Alright, I am at the end of my row, and I'm going to slip stitch to this last chain space, like that. Chain 1 and begin the next row. We are going to chain 1 and slip stitch until we get to the chain space, which should be 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to slip stitch into the chain space. We are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. And now we found our asterisk, which means we're going to slip stitch into the next chain space, chain 3, 3 double crochets and chain space. Like that. And you're going to repeat this all the way down, and we'll come back at the end. Alright, I have come to the end of my row, and you can tell here, because we're decreasing, our sides are coming up here. And what we're going to do to finish this row is we're going to slip stitch to the chain space, and that is it. Let's go on to the next row. Alright, row 24, not round. Chain 1. Turn the work, and then you're going to slip stitch to your chain space here. Chain 3, 3 double crochets into this chain space. And then slip stitch into the next chain space, and you're going to repeat this back and forth until you reach row 27. You're on row 24 now, so won't be long. Just continue this method until you reach row 27, and then we'll meet back up. Alright, I finished my 26 rows, and I'm fixing to start 27, but I wanted to take a minute and show you how to count your rows, just in case you lose count, so that there's no boo-boos or anything that you have to fix, because I'd hate to get this far into my project and be like, ugh, I gotta take it out now. It would be discouraging. So let me show you how to count the rows, and we'll go from there. What you want to do is you want to start at the corner that you begin your corner to corner, which is right here for me, and you'll see there's a block right there. Now you can go this way or you can go this way, but I don't count my rows going like this on corner to corner. I count my rows going like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you'll count all the way up. And if you've already started decreasing on your project, then you'll go here, which this is row 20, and then it's 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and you'll count up this side so that you'll know how many rows you've got. But let's go ahead and get started on 27. I just wanted to pop in and show you that trick. Alright, for row 27, we are going to be bringing in our next color. So chain 1 and start your row. Let's slip stitch to the chain space. If you would prefer, you can take and cut your yarn and tie off and then just start here. But I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch to the chain space using my white. And then instead of using the white to do the chain space, I'm going to pick up my next color, leaving a tail to hide in. I'm going to pull through like that. Now let's chain 3, which will secure the yarn in place. Alright, you're going to do 3 double crochets into this chain space. And I'm going to drop my white, and we'll cut the yarn and pick it back up later. So 3 double crochets. And I'm hiding this tail back here as I go, which I'll hide it more whenever I'm done. It's that right there is not enough to call it secure for my likings. But once I get my 3 double crochets, I'm going to slip stitch to the next chain space, chain 3, and put 3 double crochets in there. Alright, now I'm going to finish off in my white. Now you can either pull from the inside and the outside to do this, or you can do like I'm going to do and cut my yarn, leaving a tail to weave in. And then use this strand here and finish off my stitch like that. Now I'm going to finish my row with the white color, and you know how to go ahead and do the rest of the row. You chain 3, 3 double crochets, slip stitch to the next chain space all the way across, and we'll meet back up for row 28. Alright, I finished my row 27. Let's go to row 28. We're going to chain 1 and slip stitch across till we get to our chain space. Chain 3. Now this is where your asterisk is. You're going to make this block here, which is chain 3, 3 double crochets, and you're going to repeat this 9 more times, so you should have 10 blocks. Go ahead and get your 10 blocks done, and then we'll come back. Alright, I took and repeated color A, or the main color, and repeated it 9 times, so I should have 10 blocks here. And we're up here at the last 2, and the pattern says to switch to color B and repeat from the asterisk 2 times. So what I'm going to do to switch to my color B, or no, it's color A. We've got main color and color A. So what I'm going to do, instead of slip stitching here, we're going to drop the white, I'm going to pick up my second color and finish the stitch off in it. And you can tighten up the white if it's getting loose. And then we're going to chain 3, and you're going to repeat what's in the asterisk 2 times to finish the row off. And I'm going to carry this blue up a little bit so that I don't have to hide it as much. So you're going to do 3 double crochets. It's going to be chain 3, 3 double crochets in that chain space, and then you're going to go to the next one and you're going to slip stitch to the chain space, chain 3, and create your last block. 1, 2, 3, slip stitch to the next chain space, and you've you have completed row 28. Let's go on to the next row. Alright, row 29, we are going to use our color A, and mine is blue. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. There we go. And we're going to slip stitch to the chain space. 1, 2, 3, and then slip stitch into the chain space. We're going to chain 3, and we're going to create our first block for the row. We're going to slip stitch to the next one, chain 3, and you're going to make another block in here. And we are going to finish off in our main color here. We're going to go to the next one. Alright, instead of cutting my yarn here, what I'm going to do is I've got my main color here that I didn't cut off from the last row. I'm going to slip stitch into that next chain space, finishing off in the main color, and so you can't tell where the strand is or anything, so I'm just going to do that. If you prefer to cut it off and hide the end, that's all fine and well. I'm just going to carry my yarn though. Chain 3, and you're going to finish your row off in the main color, making the blocks, and then we'll meet back up for row 30. Alright, I finished my row and I have 9 white blocks and 2 blue blocks here, so for a total of 11 blocks. That's what you should have on row 29. Let's go ahead and go to row 30. Alright, chain 1 and turn your work, and we're going to slip stitch to the chain space. And then we are going to chain 3 and put 3 double crochets into the chain space. And you're going to repeat that 7 times. This doesn't count as 1. The next one you start is when it counts as 1. You're going to repeat this sequence 7 more times for a total of 8 blocks, and then we will meet back up to go on to color A. Alright, I am back and I have got my 8 blocks total made. You should have the one that we created at the beginning and then repeated it 7 more times, so you should have 8 blocks here. I am to my color A, and to switch to my next color, instead of cutting my yarn and stuff, I just carried my yarn because you won't be able to tell in the end result that you carried your yarn. So I'm just going to continue. I chained 3 and I'm going to make a block. You're going to make 2 blocks in color A. And that is it for this row. Let's go on to the next one. Alright, row 31, we're going to chain 1 and slip stitch to the chain space. And we are going to chain 3. And you're going to make 3 double crochets in that box. Like that. And you're going to repeat that once more. Slip stitch to the chain space, chain 3, let me try that again. Chain 3, 3 double crochets in that chain space. Now, in order to get over here, we're going to finish, we're finished with color A, we're going to go to main color. In order to do that, we're going to carry our yarn, or iron. You can take and cut it off if you prefer. I'm going to carry my yarn, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch over here, but finish off in color, the main color. And then I'll tighten that up, and nobody will be none the wiser. Okay, let's go on. You're going to repeat making the blocks. You're going to repeat that 7 times total. So go ahead and finish your row off with main color, and we'll come back to row 32, I believe. Alrighty folks, we are on row 32. There's only 39 rows total, so we're almost done. Let's go ahead and start our next row. Chain 1 and turn the work. We're going to slip stitch to the chain space. Chain 3. And make your first block, which is 3 double crochets, and you are going to repeat that, this right here, you're going to repeat that 5 times. So you'll slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochets. Slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochets. You'll do that until you have 6 blocks. Alrighty, I have my 6 blocks made, which is the one we created at the beginning, and then the repeat 5 times for 6 blocks. And now I'm going to reattach color A. And I'm just going to carry it like I've been doing. And we're going to make 2 blocks with this. So you'll repeat what's in the asterisk 2 times for a total of 2 blocks, and then this row will be finished. And we are done with this row. Let's go on to the next one. Alrighty, we are ready for row 33. Chain 1 and slip stitch till you get to your chain space, and then chain 3. This is all in blue or whatever color you chose for color A. And we're going to 3 double crochets in that block. So the repeat for this row is slip stitch to the chain space, chain 3, 3 double crochets. You're going to repeat that one more time in this color. Slip stitch to the chain space, chain 3, 3 double crochets. You're going to finish off in our other color, our main color. Slip stitch to the chain space, like that. You can tighten that up if need be. Chain 3 and make your block. And you're going to repeat what's in the asterisk 5 times in this color, which should finish your row off. Alrighty, we are on to the next row, and you're going to chain 1 and slip stitch to the chain space, chain 3, and 3 double crochets in that chain space. Alrighty, the repeat for this row is slip stitch to the chain space, chain 3, 3 double crochets. You are going to repeat that sequence for 3 times in this color before we switch to the next one. So you should have 4 blocks total in this color. Alright, I have my 4 blocks done, and we're going to switch to the next color, and I'm going to do it like I've been doing the past few rows, where I slip stitch and switch the color, and you're going to repeat what's in the asterisk 2 times. So slip stitch to the chain space, chain 3, 3 double crochets, and you will do that until you finish the row, which is just 2 blocks. Alright, we are on row 35, and you're going to slip stitch to the chain space, chain 3, and 3 double crochets in that chain space. Like that. Now we're going to slip stitch to the next chain space, but instead of doing 2 blocks in this color, we're only doing 1. So when we slip stitch over to this next one, we're going to drop this color and pick up our other. Chain 3, 3 double crochets. Now the repeat is slip stitch to the chain space, chain 3, 3 double crochets, and you're going to repeat this 4 times. So you should have 4 white blocks, or whatever color you chose, but you should have 4 blocks plus this one here, so 5 total. Go ahead and do that, and we'll meet back up at the end. Alright, we are on row 36, and you're going to chain 1 and slip stitch to the chain space, and you're going to chain 3, 3 double crochets in that chain space, and that is your repeat. You're going to slip stitch to the chain space, chain 3, 3 double crochets in the chain space. And you're going to repeat this sequence 2 more times, and then we'll meet back up to change colors. Alright, I have repeated my sequence 2 more times, and you should have 3 blocks total. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to switch colors if I can keep up with my hook. And I'm going to carry my yarn like I've been doing. I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going to put 3 double crochets into that chain space, slip stitch to the last chain space, and we have completed row 36. We are almost done, guys. But if you look at our clue here, you can see that it's rounded off and come back up, so it's evened out. I think it's a little too soon to tell what it is, but you can put your guesses in the comment section. I'd be happy to hear them, but I don't think that y'all are going to be able to figure it out just yet. I think that it'll take another clue or two. Let's go ahead and go to the next row, and we'll meet back up. Alright, we are on row 37, and I tied off my yarn because we won't be needing this color anymore. So I snipped it off, and we'll hide the ends in a little bit. I reattached my main color, just slip stitched to the chain space as if, okay, here's where I tied off, and you chain 1 and slip stitch to the chain space here. All I did was I skipped this process here and went straight to the chain space. And I'm going to chain 3. And we're going to put 3 double crochets, and I'll carry my yarn in this chain space here just to help hide it a little bit. And you are going to repeat that all the way across, and that's all you're going to do for this row, which is 37, row 38, and 39. You just will have less blocks each time. So I'm not going to come back until I finish my block. You're just going to, when you finish this, you'll chain 1, slip stitch to the chain space, and go on until you have 1 block left. Alright, I finished row 37 through 39, and this is what you'll have. You'll have your 1 block at the end, and you'll just slip stitch to this chain space, and then you will tie off and hide all of your ends. And the block is too big to put all on camera, but that's the startup of part of your clue. So I hope you enjoyed the video tutorial. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and, subscribe so that you can continue to get the clues throughout the year on how to do the crochet along. You can also check out the stuff on our blog, which will have the written pattern and stuff. Yeah, y'all have a wonderful day. Now you'll see we've got our first row and our second row over here, and then we have our third row started here. We're going to take this and flip it up, and we're going to attach it to this block here. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to find our chain 3 space right here, and we're going to slip stitch to it, and that creates that block. Well, it finishes that block. Now we're going to chain 3, which counts as this chain 3 right here, and we're going to put 3 double crochets into this chain space. So 1, 2, 3. Now you're going to attach it to this block, so that means you gotta slip stitch to this chain space, like that, chain 3, and make one more block, which is chain 3, 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3. And you are done with row 3. And you will continue this method, chain 6, make your block, attach it to this chain space here, go back and forth like that until you get to row 20. And you'll be using the main color for all 20 rows. So when you get that finished, we'll come back and we'll start it on the next part. Alright, I have made it to row 20. Let's go on to row 21. In the pattern, it says to slip stitch to chain 3 space. So you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. And these 3 double crochets here, we're going to slip stitch in them. So 1, 2, 3. And now this is the chain space, and we're going to slip stitch into that chain space. Now that is a decrease. We are now going to the other corner of the block, because if we had chain 6 and continued, we would have increased another block. This means that we are on our decrease rounds. So what we're going to do is chain 3, 3 double crochets into that chain space, now here's where you'll see the asterisk or the little star. It says slip stitch to chain 3 space from row 20, chain 3 and 3 double crochets in the chain space. So that means slip stitch to this chain space, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, chain 3 double crochets, my bad. Now you're going to repeat that. That's where the star or the asterisk ends, and you're going to repeat what's in that 17 times, and then you'll slip stitch to the last chain space. So go ahead and continue this 17 times, and we'll meet back up at the end. Alright, I have reached the end of my row, and at the end it says to slip stitch, to slip stitch to last chain space. Here's your last chain space. You're going to slip stitch, and that is the end of row 21. You should have 19 blocks, including your 17 that you did plus the 2. You should have 19 blocks after this row. Let's go on to row 22. Alrighty, row 22. We're going to chain 1, turn the work, and we're going to slip stitch to the chain space. So that means we're going to slip stitch in the next 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to slip stitch into the chain space. And that's where we're going to start row 22. Row 22, we're going to chain 3 and create our first block, which is chain 3, 3 double crochets into the chain space. Oops. Now you'll see that there are asterisks, and what that means is we're going to repeat what's in those asterisks a certain amount of times, and this time it's going to be 16 times. So we're going to start with a slip stitch to the chain 3 space, chain 3, 3 double crochets, and you're going to repeat this 16 times. Slip stitch to the next chain space, right there, chain 3, 3 double crochets into that chain space. Repeat this all the way across, 16 times total, and then we'll meet back up.